In this class, we'll start a new chapter from the plant physiology, that is plant growth and development. Clear? So this is the last chapter of plant physiology, and this is a most important chapter for your NEET exam. And at least 2 to 3 questions you'll be getting in your NEET exam from this chapter, that is plant growth and development. So first, what is growth? What is the meaning of growth? In case of plant, growth is irreversible, permanent increase in size of an organ or its part or even an individual cell is known as plant growth. Here. So in case of plants, the growth is irreversible, permanent increase of an organ or cell. Here. So in case of plant, you can see that the plant is sometimes 100 meter, up to 100-meter height in length. Sometimes plant is 2 meter height in length. Sometimes plant is 5 meter height in length. Here. So in case of plant, the growth is irreversible as well as permanent increase. Why? Why in case of plant the growth is permanent increase? Because plants are having a huge amount of meristematic cells in between them. Clear? In case of humans, we are 6 feet or hardly 8 feet or 7 feet height in length. Clear? But in case of plant, due to presence of a huge amount of meristematic cell, already you have learned about the meristematic cell. What is the meaning of meristematic cell? Those cells are present in dividing stage, and they can divide again and again to form a huge number of cells. This is called meristematic cells. Here, in case of human, suppose in case of human, if you are cutting a hand and from this hand no another human will be developed. But in case of plant, if you cut a branch from the plant, then from this branch again a new plant will be developed. Clear? Due to presence of meristematic cells. So that's why in case of plant, the growth is permanent, right? Growth maybe in case of height, right? Growth can be expressed as height as well as diameter, here as well as breadth, etc. Now, some characters of the plant growth. Plant growth is indeterminate, that is unlimited. This is the thing. Plant growth is unlimited throughout their whole world, right? Sorry, throughout their whole life. That is, plant retain the capacity for growth throughout their life. So throughout their whole life, plant can shows a particular growth. So that's why their growth is indeterminate or unlimited in nature. This capacity of plant is due to presence of meristematic tissues at certain regions in their bodies. That's all. In case of plants, they are having huge number of meristematic cell. Right. Already you have learned about the anatomy of flowering plant. Why you have learned about the shoot apical meristem that is present. Suppose this is plant, the shoot apical meristem and root apical meristem. Here, shoot apical meristem present at the tip portion and root apical meristem present at the root portion. Clear? So that's why they can show a huge amount of meristematic activity through which they can divide again and again, and they can increase their height up to 100 meter or more than that. Apical meristems are responsible for primary growth, mainly elongation or increase in length of parts along the main plant axis. So if you see the structure or internal structure of the apical meristem, then you can see this is the apical meristem, and here a huge amount, millions of numbers of meristematic cells are present here, and these cells are already in dividing stage. They can divide again and again, and they can increase their height in length. Clear? Now, measurement of growth. How can we measure the growth? Through the arc oxanometer, right? It's a major process through which we can measure the growth of the plant. Suppose this is the plant, right? And one, you can say thread is binding with the pulley region of the arc oxanometer, and weight is hanging from this pulley. So what happened when this growth is increased? Then what happened? Weight is here showing the rotation of this pulley, and it is indicating the pointer that it is suppose 10-meter height or 5-meter height. These are the mark of several heights. Clear? And these are marking the height of these plants. Clear? So through the arc oxanometer, we can measure the growth of the plant bodies. Growth in cellular level is mainly due to increase in the amount of protoplasm. So what is the meaning of growth? Right? How can we determine the plant growth? Through the arc oxanometer, right? When we can say that yes, in this plant, the growth is taking place. How? When the protoplasmic content is getting increased, right? When the protoplasmic content getting increased, what is the meaning of protoplasm? Protoplasm or cytoplasm, right? Outside the cell wall, or you can say this is the plant cell, this is cell wall. So if we are cutting the cell wall, the inner side of the cell is known as protoplasm of the cell is known as protoplasm. So the increase of protoplasm content can determine or can indicate the growth of the plant body. Right. So within the protoplasm, nucleus, and so many cell organs are there, ribosome, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies. Here, all of these things are written here within this protoplasm. So when its content getting increased, at that time plant is showing the growth. So growth is measured as in increase. So these are the several symptoms through which we can call yes, the growth is taking place here. First, fresh weight. What is the meaning of fresh weight? When we are taking the weight, suppose this is protoplasm, and when we are taking the weight of this protoplasm with water, it will be called as fresh weight. Here, the next one is dry weight. So dry weight means when when the protoplasm is waiting without water or no water, it is known as dry weight. Then length, yes, obviously when plant is increasing length, then we can say that yes, growth is taking place here. Area, when the plant area, right, or you can say the breadth of the plant is increased, then also we can say that yes, the growth is increasing here. Volume, when the plant volume is increased in breadth, then it will be called as uh, growth. Then cell number, so in case of plants, cell numbers are increased through the cell division process, then also we can determine or we can understand that yes, the growth is taking place here. So these are the several symptoms through which we can confirm that the growth is taking place in a particular plant. Clear? The phases of the growth, the plant growth is divided in three phases. So we can divide the plant growth phase into three stages: meristematic phase or cell division phase, elongation phase or cell enlargement phase, maturation phase or cell differentiation phase. So the growth that is taking place in plant, and we can classify the growth into three phases. Meristematic, already you have learned about the meristematic cells that are already in dividing stage, that are having the ability to divide the cells, right? Elongation, where the cell is getting enlarged in size. Maturation, where the cell is differentiated, okay, or cell is you can say stop differentiated and matured in nature. So these are the three stages of the plant growth phases. The root tip, that is apical region, shows different regions according to the cells in different phases of the growth. In case of root tip, suppose we are taking root tip. So this is the diagram of the root tip. Here you can see this area is known as meristematic areas, where a huge amount of cells are in dividing stage, and they are dividing again and again, and they are forming a huge amount of cells. Here, so meristematic zone has cells that are rich in protoplasm, have a prominent nucleus. So here, so many nucleus are present and they are in dividing stage. Now just see the structure. This is the structure. If you are taking one root, these are the root hairs, right? And we can classify the whole root into three stages. Clear? Because in case of root, the growth is found where the root is going towards the soil, right? Then we can measure the growth of the root. So you can see here, first, this area is known as region of meristematic activity. That means here the cells are present with huge amount of nucleus or nuclei, and they are having huge amount of uh, dividing capability here through which they are going to division, and they are forming a huge amount of cells. So that's why these cells are known as meristematic cells. Here, then above the meristematic cells, the elongation cells are present, or elongated cell phase are present. Here, what happened? Cells are increasing their length. Cells are enlarging size, enlarging length. Then at the last, the region of maturation. So here, the cells are stopped in their division, right? But here the cells are going to mature. And then what happens? The roots here are developed, and here the cell division is stopped. That's all. This is all about the three phases of plant cell growth: meristematic cell, elongation phase, as well as maturation phase. Clear? Zone of elongation. Elongation means it's increase in size or length, right? Cells of the region shows cell enlargement, deposition of new cell material, etc. So in case of elongation phase, just is showing the enlargement of the cell. Zone of maturation is the portion where the cells undergo maturation. The cells here attain their maximum size and protoplasmic modification into various types. So what happened in case of maturation here stage? The cells are going to stop in their division, right? But the cells are going to mature and just specify their different functions. Here, in case of a particular cell, a particular area, if 1,000 amount of cells are there, so 1,000 amount of functions will be performing by this 1,000 amount of cells. So each and every cell is having a particular function. So in case of maturation, here what happened, each and every cell is specified for their functions. Clear? Now growth rate. Here, the increase in growth per unit time is termed as growth rate. A new term about the growth, that is growth rate. Now, what is the meaning of growth rate? Increasing growth per unit time. You can see some plants are increasing very fastly, some plants are increasing very slowly, some plants live increasing very fastly, as well as some plants live increasing very slowly, right? So we can call them as a growth rate. Within a particular time, a specific growth is found within this area is called as growth rate. Here, within a specific region, suppose this is the plant leaf, right? And suppose here the time is zero and time is counting down, and this plant is this plant leaf is increasing in growth after some days, and it will take okay 10 days. So this is called growth rate. So within 10 days, a specific increase is found within the leaf is called growth rate. The rate of growth may be arithmetic or geometric. So again, we can classify the growth rate into two types, arithmetic and geometric. First, arithmetic type of growth. So this is important for your NEET exam. Growth rate, the increase of uh, any plant, you can say the leaf or plant parts within a particular time is known as growth rate. We can classify the growth rate into two types, arithmetic growth rate as well as geometric growth rate. Now listen carefully. Arithmetic growth, right? So what happened here? Suppose this is one cell, right? So in case of arithmetic growth, through the mitotic division, a huge amount of cells are produced. This is the first thing. And suppose through the mitotic division, this cell is producing two cells. Try to understand. The question will be coming in your NEET exam from this growth rate. So through the mitotic division, MIT, mitotic division, one cell is going to develop two cells, right? Out of these two cells, again, one cell is undergoing cell specification, cell maturation, and another cell is going to mitosis process again. So from this cell, again, two new cell will be getting developed, right? So again, out of these two cells, one cell is undergoing cell maturation and cell elongation. And from this one cell, again, they are undergoing mitosis division and they are forming two cells, right? Again, one is specified for elongation and maturation, and this cell is going to develop two cells. This is called arithmetic cell, right? Arithmetic cell growth. So, arithmetic growth, one of the daughter cells formed by the mitosis, continues to divide while the other undergoes differentiation and maturation, and it is found in case of Cambia, right? So, arithmetic cell growth rate where one cell is undergoing the mitosis division, two cell is produced always, right? Already you have learned about the mitosis and meiosis in class 11 in cell cycle cell division chapter. So through the mitosis, we are getting two same amount of chromosomal cells. This is called mitosis division. So from one cell first, we are getting two cell. Clear? We are getting two cell, and one cell is undergoing. This cell is undergoing for cell maturation, cell elongation, and their specific function. And the remaining one cell is again undergoing the mitosis process, and they are forming two cells. And out of two cells, again one cell is specified for function and elongation, and this one cell is undergoing again mitosis, and they are again undergoing out of the two cell, one cell is again undergoing the mitosis and forming two cell, and the remaining cell is undergoing cell maturation and cell differentiation and cell elongation. Here, this is called arithmetic growth rate. That means from a cell, always we are getting two cell, always we are getting two cell, and one cell will be specified for function, cell proliferation, cell maturation, and this another cell is undergoing again cell division. So the mitosis process. Clear? This is the concept about the arithmetic growth rate. Just see the diagram here. This is one cell. They are forming two cell, and out of two cell, this is specified for cell maturation, cell elongation, and this cell is undergoing mitosis. Again, they are forming two cell. Okay. Again, this one is undergoing the this one. This one is undergoing the maturation, elongation, and function, right? And again, this cell is undergoing mitosis. Again, this will be undergoing mitosis, and this will be undergoing maturation, cell proliferation, and cell elongation. Clear? So always in one cell is fixed for cell specification, cell maturation, cell differentiation, and another one is always undergoing the mitosis process. This is called arithmetic cell growth rate. This is found in case of cambium cell. Already you have learned about the cambium in plant anatomy chapter. Clear? If a curve is plotted with root elongation against a time, a linear curve is obtained. Mathematically, it is expressed as LT equals to L0 plus RT. So we can represent the arithmetic growth rate. We can represent the arithmetic growth rate into a formula. LT equals to L0 plus RT. Now, what is the meaning of LT? Length at the time T, L0, length at the time 0, R is the growth rate or elongation per unit time. Clear? So in case of arithmetic growth rate, again I am telling you, here one cell is undergoing the mitosis and therefore two cell always, right? And out of two cell, one cell is specifying for maturation, cell proliferation, cell function, and another one will be undergoing always the mitosis process. So this process is going on continuously, and we can represent this process in a formula that is LT equals to L0 plus RT. Now just see the graph of this arithmetic growth, right now, arithmetic growth rate, arithmetic. So already you have learned about the arithmetic growth rate function, right? And what happened in case of arithmetic growth rate? Always one cell is undergoing the cell division process. So suppose this area is L0, right now. This area is L0. Now after L0, this is L0. After L0, this is the area where the LT has been started, and this is showing unlimited growth at the unlimited growth rate at the time T, right? This is called arithmetic growth rate. Again, if we are representing the arithmetic growth rate in a graph, then you can see this is time in the x-axis, this is height of the plant in y-axis. Then at the time zero, this is the time zero. So here no growth is found in length. So we can call it as a L0. Then what happened? At the time t, the growth has been initiated from here and they are showing unlimited growth. All the time they are producing two cells. Out of two cells, one is specified for function, another is undergoing again another round of mitosis process. This is called ELT. At the time t, they are showing increase in the growth, right? Increase in So if we are representing the arithmetic growth in a graph, then you can see this is y-axis, where the height of the plant or length of the plant, and here the time t, right? So at the initial time or at the starting time, there is no growth. Then what happens? At unit time, that is LT, the plant is showing unlimited growth. Why unlimited growth? Because from one cell we are getting two cell, right? Out of two cell, one cell is always specific for cell proliferation, cell function, cell maturation, and the another one will be undergoing always the maturation process. Dividing process. Clear na? One is specification for the cell growth and cell maturation, cell elongation, and another one will be undergoing the cell division process. So that's why it is showing unlimited growth. Clear? Now, geometric growth, right? So what happened in case of geometric growth? Both the daughter cells formed after mitosis retain the ability to divide. Now, in case of geometric growth, what happened here? One cell is undergoing the mitotic division and they are forming two cells, right? So in arithmetic growth, try to understand the question will be coming in your NEET exam from this topic. So in case of arithmetic growth, out of two cell, one will be specifying for a particular function, but another one will be undergoing the division always. But in case of geometric growth, the two cells are undergoing the division. This is the main difference between arithmetic growth and geometric growth. So two cells are undergoing again division and they are forming again two cells, right? So they are undergoing again division and forming two cells. Clear? And this process is going on up to a certain limit. Suppose this division is going on, suppose 1 hour, and after that, there will be no requirement of the extra cell. At that time, this process will be stopped, right? In geometric growth, both the daughter cells form after the mitosis retain the ability to divide. So both cells that are produced from a particular cell with the help of mitosis, they are having the division ability. Clear? So they are forming 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 like in numbers 2, then 4, then 8, then it will be 16 like this. The initial growth is slow, that is lag phase. Increases rapidly at an exponential rate, a log or exponential phase, and then the growth slows down, leading to a stationary phase. Now, in case of geometric growth, what happened here? What happened here? This growth is starting initially at the time the growth rate is slow in nature. After that, the growth is increasing in height, and finally it is fixed. When there is no requirement of extra cells, then what happens? This process is going to stop. Now, just see this diagram. This is one cell. They are forming two cells from here to here. Again, from here two cell, right? From here to cell. This is the geometric growth. Clear? Now just see the formula here first. If we plot a curve with increase in growth as function of time, is shape a sigmoid curve is obtained. In next slide, the growth curve is there, but now just see the equation or the formula for determining the geometric growth, or sometimes it is known as exponential growth. try to understand in case of your ecology. Already you have learned about that the logistic growth and exponential growth. Sorry, exponential growth and unlimited growth. Clear? In case of exponential growth, already you have learned about these things in ecosystem chapter or in ecology, right? Sorry, organism and population chapter. Where you have learned about the unlimited growth, where the growth is unlimitedly produced. Clear or found? Why? Because the food resources are unlimited there, as well as logistic or exponential growth, where what happened, the food sources are not unlimited in nature. So that's why they are showing a huge amount of growth, and after some time, the growth will be stopped or resumed. Clear? These two type of growth already you have learned about in ecosystem, sorry, in growth of population chapter, in ecology, right? And in case of plants, we are studying now the arithmetic and geometric growth. So in case of geometric growth, it's a logical growth. Clear? When the food is available, at that time the growth rate is increased at very high amount, and when the food resources are limited, then what happens? This growth rate will be decreased. Clear? So in case of geometric growth, the exponential growth expressed as W1 equals to W0 ERT, right? W1 equals to W0 ERT. What is the meaning of W1? This is the final size, and the size may be in weight, volume, number, area length, etc. W0 means initial size or the starting size. R is the growth rate. Time is the T, and is the base of natural logarithm. So this is the formula of geometric growth rate. Now just see the growth curve. This is the growth curve. So this is the growth curve A-shape in nature, and already you have learned about this A-shape growth curve in organism and population chapter in ecology. Clear? In ecology unit. So just see the graph. This is the growth size, and the size may be in length, weight, or area, volume, and this is time. Clear? So at the very first time or at the earlier time, what happened when the food resources are present? The food resources are present in huge amount. Then what happened? The cells are going to division, or they are entering division at very fast, right? This is called lag phase. This is initial phase actually, and this is going to maximum when at the log or exponential phase. So at the log or exponential phase, what happened here? The growth is showing maximum. Here, the cell division is showing maximum in nature. Clear? And after that, this cell division is going to stop. This is called stationary phase or declining phase. Clear? This is also called bacterial growth curve. This is also called exponential growth curve. This is also called geometric growth curve in plant growth. Clear? So there are two types of growth. Their formulas, their graphs are very, very important for your NEET exam. In case of geometric growth rate, the formula is here: W1 equals to W0 ERT. Now, conditions for growth. First one is nutrients. Here, so obviously, plant cells are living cells. So for division, a huge amount of energy, huge amount of nutritious materials are also required. If the nutritious materials are present in sufficient amount, then the growth obviously increase in nature. Then water, if sufficient amount of water is there, then also the growth will be increased in nature. Oxygen, if oxygen is also present in sufficient amount, then also growth will be increased. How the oxygen is helping in the growth of the plant? In case of plant respiration, you have learned about the plant respiration, where plants are taking oxygen from the atmosphere and releasing carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. And through the respiration process, by using of oxygen, Plant are producing huge amount of ATP molecules. Clear na? Plants are producing huge amount of ATP molecules, and they are taking oxygen. Through this oxygen, they are making ATP, and this ATP is helping in the process of plant growth, as well as temperature. So, optimum or medium amount of temperature is needed for the plant growth. Then light, if light is present at sufficient amount, then also the plant growth is increase in nature. Clear? So these are the several factors, or you can say conditions, that are involved in the plant growth. Now we have to read the three most important, uh, you can say, definition uh, here after the plant growth. These are: first one, differentiation; next one, de-differentiation; third one, re-differentiation. Try to understand these three terms, right? Differentiation. Differentiation means when the cells are getting divided. Simply try to understand this three terms. Differentiation means when the cells are undergoing the division, it will be called as differentiation. De-differentiation means, D means deletion. When the delete of the dividing stage, right? It is called de-differentiation. And re-differentiation. Re means again. When the cells are again undergoing division, then it will be called as re-differentiation. For example, uh, first, we are taking an example. Suppose one student is coming from this institute to his home, right? So first student, suppose first one student is going from institute to his home. This is called differentiation. And after reaching at his home, he is relaxing and he is tired. He is getting tired, right? This is called de-differentiation. And he is taking food. He is taking so many things, and finally he is getting energized. And finally he is coming again from his home to this coaching center. This is called re-differentiation. This is the most easiest example, right? So just read the definition. Differentiation. What is the meaning of differentiation? The biochemical or morphological change of meristematic daughter cell to become a permanent cell. So differentiation means when a cell is present in a dividing stage, where the cell is dividing. Clear? For permanent cells, right? This is called differentiation. And de-differentiation, here what happens? The division is fully stopped, right? The division is fully stopped, or deletion of the division. Then what happens? Those cells are produced by the differentiation, they are getting permanent. So the phenomenon of regeneration of permanent tissue to become meristematic. Clear? So here, in case of de-differentiation, this is the stage where the deletion of the differentiation, as well as here the cells are getting permanent here, and the cells are now very tired. Now what happens? Again, the cell division is required. Then cell is eating so many food materials, and what happens? They are again uh, converting into the meristematic phase, right, or the division phase, and they are again entering into the re-differentiation phase. Clear na? That means re means again. They are again undergoing the differentiation phase. This is called the re-differentiation, where they are undergoing the what division phase, and they are again forming some tissues. So these are the three important terms that are related to plant growth: differentiation, de-differentiation, and re-differentiation. Here, now development. What is the meaning of development? So development is the process that includes the whole series of changes which an organism goes through during its life cycle. Development means, in case of plants, right? So in case of plant growth, at the very first time, already you have learned about the plant growth is indeterminate or unlimited. So if the plant growth is unlimited throughout their whole life, so obviously development is also unlimited, right? Development is also unlimited throughout their whole life. Development means some specification. Suppose the cells are continuously dividing throughout their whole life. The cell is continuously dividing throughout their whole life, and each and every cell is having a specific functions. Here, each and every cell is having a specific function. So if the cells are continuously produced, then what happens? These cells are undergoing some developmental process or some modifications through which they can specify a particular function. The development is considered as the sum of the growth and differentiation. So development is considered, or we can measure the development in a plant by, you can say, growth as well as how many divisions that are taking place through the cells. Yeah. So through the differentiation or cell division as well as growth, we can measure the development in a plant. Clear? That's what this is all about, the plant development. If you see this diagram here, first a seed is getting germinated, they are forming uh, the they are forming a whole plant through several successive stages. So these are known as developmental stages, through which at the last phase the final development is taking place. Here, this is the concept of development. Development is under the control of intrinsic, that is internal, as well as extrinsic, that is external factors. So there are some intrinsic or internal factors that are involved with the developmental process in plants. They are including intracellular or genetic factors or intracellular factors such as growth regulators. So listen, in this chapter, first plant growth, right? Then we'll discuss the what? Plant growth regulators. So in case of plant growth, right, as well as development, these are mainly affecting by some intrinsic factor, and these intrinsic factors are plant growth regulators or plant hormones. Here, as well as some extrinsic factors are also involved in the growth and developmental processes in plants, like light, temperature, water, oxygen, nutrients. These are the external factors that are also required for the plant growth and developmental processes, right? Now, the next important term, plasticity. Now, what is the meaning of plasticity? To cope up with change in environment, the plant organs also change their structure. This ability is called plasticity. So you can see plasticity kinds of adaptation here. So, to comparing the environmental condition, plants are or plant parts are getting changed, right? This process is known as plasticity, right? To cope up with the environmental change, plants also changing its several plant parts. This is called plasticity. For example, leaves of buttercup shows the heterophilous development. Heterophilous means different types, right? Different types development due to their environment, that is they are much dissected when growing aquatic habitats and even intact when growing terrestrial habitat. So here one example is present. In case of buttercup plant, they are showing heterophilous development. Heterophilous means different types of leaves. So just see when they are present in aquatic or water condition, then they are showing such kind of long type of leaf, as well as when they are present at the terrestrial region, then they are showing such kind of flattened leaf structure. This is called plasticity, right? That's all. Seed dormancy and seed germination. So in the first part, you have learned about the plant growth, right? Plant growth, plant development, as well as the plasticity. Here, plant growths are of two types: arithmetic, geometric. Their formulas, as well as their graphs, are also important for your exam. Now, the next important topic in this chapter is seed dormancy and seed growth. So already you have learned about the plant sexual reproduction in flowering plants, you can say, where you have learned that after the fertilization, right, the ovule is going to produce the seed, right? The ovule is going to produce the seed, and the ovary, and the ovary is going to, and the ovary is going to produce the fruit, right? So that's why seed is always located within the fruit. That's why seed is always located within the fruit. Clear? So seed is going to germinate and they are forming a new plant. This is the concept about the plant sexual reproduction. After the reproduction, formation of seed, and from the seed the new plant is developed. Now in this chapter we'll discuss the detail of seed dormancy and their germination. Clear? When the seed is getting germinated, right? Germination means simply by breaking down of the seed pod or outer wall of the seed pod. A cotyledon, already have learned about the monocot and dicot plant. If two newly formed leaves are there, it will be called as dicot plant. If one newly formed leaf will be there, it will be called as monocot plant. Clear? So the seed or the outer layer of the seed coat is getting broken down, and finally the cotyledon is coming out from the seed, and they are involved in the seed germination, and finally they are forming the new what? Seedling. From the seedling a whole plant is developed. Clear? So seed dormancy, first one. What is the meaning of dormancy? Dormancy means sleeping. Clear? So in case of one human, suppose he is sleeping whole that day, then we can't call this human that human dormancy, because in case of seed, it is found extremely. So that's why we can call this sleeping condition seed dormancy. So first, dormancy is the condition of seed when it does not germinate during unfavorable condition and sometimes even under favorable condition. Clear? So in case of seed, when the environmental condition, okay, is unfavorable in nature. What is the meaning of environmental condition that is unfavorable? Listen. Finally, seed is developed after sexual reproduction in plant, and when the seed is getting germinated, when the environmental conditions, light, temperature, water, right? Light, temperature, water. These are the most important environmental factors through which the seed is only getting germinated. Clear now? The seed is getting germinated. So that's why when these water, temperature, light are not present in sufficient amount, or they are present in very high amount, right? As well as oxygen, they are present either in very less amount or very high amount. At that time, we can call this is unfavorable condition. So at that time, seed is not going to germinate. Here, this is called seed dormancy, right? This is called seed dormancy. When dormancy is due to unfavorable external condition, it is called imposed dormancy or quiescence. So when the dormancy is coming from, or you can say, find that uh, the internal factors are developing, okay, or due to the internal factors, the dormancy is developed. This is called imposed or quiescence seed dormancy. The condition in which germination fails to occur even under favorable environmental condition, this is called innate dormancy. So in case of innate dormancy, due to presence of favorable condition, but still the seed is not going to germinate. This is called innate type of dormancy. So imposed and innate. Two definitions are important. So types of seed dormancy, we can classify the seed dormancy into two types: seed coat as well as embryo induced dormancy. Clear? So there are two types of seed dormancy. First one is seed coat. Already you have learned about the fruit. Suppose this is fruit. Within the fruit, the seed is always located. Clear? The seed is always located. And this is the seed covering. This is seed, you can say this is seed covering, right? Or you can say this is seed coat. So in case of seed dormancy, they can be of two types, right? Seed coat induced, sometimes this seed coat is very hard in nature. At that time, the inner side of the seed is not coming out from the seed due to presence of this hard seed coat, and sometimes embryo induced. So embryo is present within the seed, right? They are undergoing the dormancy. Clear? So we can classify this type of seed dormancy into two. First one, seed coat induced dormancy. So here what happened? It is caused due to extreme hardness of the seed coat. So obviously seed coat induced dormancy, where the seed coat, seed layer is involved in the dormancy, right? Seed coat is very hard in nature and they are not undergoing the broken down process. So that's why they are showing the dormancy process. The hard seed coat checks the entry of water, exchange of gases, and does not allow elongation of radical and plumule through the hard seed coat. So here what happens if the seed coat is very hard in nature, then what happens? Suppose this is seed coat, right now. Water is very important. Water is very important material for the seed for the breaking down of the seed dormancy. Clear. So what happens if very hard seed coat is present? Water is not taking entry through the seed coat, and finally the seed is not getting germinated. Here, this is called seed coat induced dormancy. Embryo is completely now embryo induced dormancy. Embryo is completely developed and requires a period of rest. So sometimes what happens in case of embryo induced dormancy, right? Embryo development is not completed till, okay, embryo development is still going on. At that time, embryo is undergoing the resting period or dormancy period for further development. Embryo induced dormancy can also happen when the embryo is fully developed but unable to resume growth. So, in case of embryo induced dormancy, sometimes what happens? Embryo is fully developed, but due to absence of certain factor, the embryo is not going to germinate, or the seed is not going to germinate. Yeah, this is called seed dormancy or embryo induced seed dormancy, as well as seed coat induced seed dormancy. Clear? Now, breaking of seed dormancy. Clear. So, till now, you have learned about the dormancy. Dormancy means sleeping of the seed, where we can classify the dormancy are two types. It may be seed coat induced as well as embryo induced. Clear. And in case of seed dormancy, embryo and seed coat, they are mainly responsible for sleeping the seed. Right. If the seed is sleeping, then how the plant will be developed? So obviously, the seed dormancy will be breaking down. Clear? The seed dormancy should be breaking down. Then only they are producing leaf, and through which the new plant will be coming out. Right. So now we'll discuss the breaking of seed dormancy. How the seed dormancy is undergoing the breaking process, and through which they are forming the new plant. Clear? Method of breaking the seed dormancy. First one is scarification. So these are the several methods, right? And here the artificial as well as natural breaking processes are there. We'll discuss one by one. Scarification, then stratification, third one is impaction, fourth one is alternating temperatures method, fifth one is light or dark requirement method. So there are five methods for breaking down the seed dormancy. Through these five processes, we can break the seed dormancy, right? And through which the new leaf or cotyledon is coming out and they are forming seedling. From the seedling, a new plant will be developed. First one is scarification. The first seed dormancy breaking down process is scarification. This method is used for breaking the dormancy of seed caused by the hard seed coat. So scarification is the process. Suppose this is hard seed coat is present outside the embryo, and this process is an artificial process. Here, sometimes what happens? Some seeds are containing very hard seed coat, right? So we can artificially with our hands can break the seed coat. Then finally, what happens? Embryo is coming out, and embryo is germinated and form embryo. You can say cotyledon or new plant is developed, right? So scarification is the process through which the seed coat is breaking down artificially, right? The seed coats are made soft by rubbing the seed coats against the rough surface, or treated chemically by dipping the seeds into acid like uh, sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid, or into organic solvents like acetone or alcohol. So what happened in case of this scarification? Okay, we can break. So first, scarification means breakdown of the seed pod. So we can break the seed pod into two ways. First one, simply through our hands, through knife, we can break the seed pod. Another way is by treating the seed pod with several acids like sulfuric acid H2SO4, as well as hydrochloric acid HCl, as well as through several solvents like acetone or alcohol. We are mixing them, right? Or simply we are taking this acid, the solvent in a pot, and simply we are adding this, you can say, seed. Then whatever this seed pod is automatically breaking down. Clear? So this is called scarification. This is the first type of seed dormancy breaking process. The next one is stratification, right? The next important type of seed dormancy breaking process is stratification. This method is used to break the dormancy of seeds caused due to some physiological condition of the embryo. So in case of stratification, here some physiological conditions are applied for breaking down the seed dormancy. In this method, the seeds are exposed to well aerated, most or moist conditions under low temperatures 0 to 10 degrees Celsius for weeks to months. So stratification, right? Stratification is the process where some physiological conditions are applied for breaking down the seed dormancy. Here what happened? One physiological character or condition like temperature. So simply here we are treating the seed with very less temperature. That is the temperature between 0 to 10 degrees Celsius for a week or month. We are treating the seed for breaking down the dormancy. This method is also called after ripening. During stratification, some chemical changes occur in the embryo of seeds which are necessary for seed germination. So this stratification is also called after ripening or ripening. What is the meaning of ripening or ripening? Ripening means maturation of the seed. Clear? In case of you can say banana, like guava, when we are taking them, we are taking them mainly at the time of ripening or maturation. Clear? So this stratification is also called what? Is also called after ripening, because in case of ripening, the temperature is involved. Clear? And during this stratification, some changes are also there within the embryo of the seeds, and they are undergoing the maturation. So that's why it is known as after ripening. Clear? Uh, when we discuss the plant growth hormones or plant hormones, then you can see ethylene, one hormone that is involving in the fruit ripening. We are eating the ripened fruit of banana, guava, clear, as well as so many fruits are there like orange. So these are actually done by the what? Plant hormone, right? So this stratification process is also called ripening. So by applying the lower amount of temperature, we can we can break the seed dormancy. Clear? The third important process for breaking down the seed dormancy is called impaction, right? Impaction. This method is employed to such seeds where a cord or plug-like filling is present at the micropylar end, as in some legume seeds. So, in case of impaction, this process is strictly implied or implying mainly in legume seed. Legume seed means bean. Right now, we are taking the bean. If you are taking one bean seed, you can see these things. Okay, then you can see the micropylar end or the mouth end, right? That is exposing outside of the seed wall, right? So already I've learned about the ovary, ovule, then micropylar end, charger end, right? That are present within the ovule. Already I've learned about them now in sexual reproduction in flowering plants chapter. So this impaction process is mainly implying on the legume seeds. These seeds are shaken vigorously to remove the filling to allow exchange of gases and entry of water that may induce seed germination. So what happened here? Suppose this is the micropylar end, this end. This is the micropylar end. And what happened? We are taking the seed and we are vigorously shaking with our hand or with machine. Then what happened? This micropylar end is shaken, okay, in a very high amount, and they can allow the exchange of gases, or they can allow the entry of gases as well as water in between the seeds. Here in between the seeds. right? Then what happen if the oxygen, right? If the oxygen as well as water is coming out in through this micropylarine, then what happens? The seed is getting germinated. Here, this is called impaction. Right? And this is applying only in legume seeds. The fourth important process for breaking down of seed dormancy is alternating temperatures method. Clear? So this method may be beneficial to those seeds which are immature embryos. So in case of alternating temperatures method, these are applying where those seeds are having immature embryos. By alternating temperatures between 15 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius are useful in breaking the dormancy of some seeds like Rumex crispus. So what happens? Those seeds are containing immature embryos within them, where we can apply simply alternating temperature, right? Alternating temperature. Then what happens? The seed is getting germinated. And one example is Rumex crispus. Now listen carefully. These seeds are containing embryos, right? And these embryos are not developed. Suppose one factor is deficient, right? Then what happens? This embryo is immature in nature, and by altering the temperature, that is 15 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius, right? The seed is getting germinated. So this is called alternating temperatures method. The fifth one is light dark requirement method. Here, light dark requirement method. The light sensitive seeds are called photoblastic seeds. So already I have told you na, in the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants that flower, or you have learned about the flower in morphology of flowering plants that some flower are produced in presence of light, some flower are produced in absence of light. So such kind of characters are also present in case of seeds. So some seeds are getting germinated in presence of light, as well as some seeds are germinated in absence of light, as well as some seeds are present in both presence or absence of light. Just like the flower, seeds are having such kind of characters. Yeah. So in case of seed, they are having the light sensitive character, so that's why they are also called photoplastic seeds. So they are also three types: positive photoplastic, negative photoplastic, and non-photoplastic seeds. Here, now just see them. Positive photoplastic seeds. The positively photoplastic seeds germinate in light. In such seeds, the red light, that is 660 nanometer, is most effective. So in case of positive photoplastic seeds, these seeds are only germinated in presence of light. Here, and the light is the red light, 660 nanometer. This is called red light. Na? Already you have learned about the photosynthesis, where this is the red light, where the photosynthesis is getting maximum. So in case of seed also, those are getting germinated. They are called positive photoplastic seeds, and here the 660 nanometer is the light length where the seeds are getting germinated highly. For example, lettuce, tobacco, tomato, rumex, barley, betula, amaranthus. These are the examples of several positive photoplastic seeds. Clear? Next one, negative photoplastic seeds. So these seeds do not germinate in presence of light. So negative photoplastic seed means those seeds are not germinated in presence of light. Here, so for example, onion, lily, phlox, nigella, these are the example of negative photoplastic seeds that are germinated in absence of light. Non-photoplastic seeds, these seeds are not influenced by light and can germinate either in light or dark or in both. So non-photoplastic seeds means there are also some seeds that are not having any affinity with the light here, and they are simply germinated in presence of light, in absence of light, or in both cases here. And some examples of these non-photoplastic seeds: bean seeds and maize grains. So bean seeds and maize grains, these are the examples of non-photoplastic seeds. Clear? So light sensitive or light or dark requirement method of the seed dormancy. Clear? Now the viability of the seeds. Clear? What is the meaning of viability? What is the meaning of viability? Already you have learned about the pollen grains now in sexual reproduction of flowering plant, that pollen grains after their production they can viable or they can lasting for a minute, for an hour, for a month, for a year, right? So it's varying from plant to plant. So same thing here also in case of seed, after production of the seed, right, after production of the seed, here, or you can say the seeds are having the germination power, and this germination power, uh, you can say, remain within the seed up to a certain time, right? This is called viability of seed. So the ability of seed to possess power of germination over a period of time is called viability. So after production of seed, all of you know that seed is going to germinate, right? Or the seed pod is breaking down, the embryo is coming out, and from the embryo, whole plant is developed, right? This is the normal thing. So after production of seeds, they are containing some germination, seed germination capability or seed germination ability, right? This is called viability of seed, and this viability of seed is present within a particular seed for a certain times. Here, it can be formed from a weak, for example, oxalis, to about 100 years. For example, trifolia, lotus or nilombo seeds have maximum viability of 1,000 years. So this viability of seeds or the germination ability of seeds that are retained within the seeds after their production, they can be varying from one plant seed to another plant seed. For example, oxalis. So oxalis is a plant where the seeds are having the viability for germination is few weeks here. In case of trifolium, here the seeds are having seed germination viability and they are up to 100 years here. And in case of lotus or nilombo, here the seeds are having viability for 1,000 years, as well as phoenix dactylifera. Here the seeds are having viability for 2,000 years, and Lupina sarticus, here the seeds are having viability for 14,000 years. So just imagine about this seed viability, that seeds are having some germination, you can say, ability, that are located in the seeds and that are varying from seed to seed, right? Some seeds are having the germination power within 1 week, right, or 1 week. Some seeds are having the germination power for 100 years. Some seeds are having the germination power for 1,000 years, right? And some are 2,000 years, some are 10,000 years. So this is called viability of seeds. Here, viability can be tested by cutting seeds lengthwise and dipping them into solution of 0.1 triphenyl tetrazolium fluoride or TPC. TPC. Clear? So nowadays we can test the seed viability of different seeds by simply cutting them, by lengthwise, and we are dipping them or we are adding them into the solution of triphenyl tetrazolium chloride, here, or TPC, that is 0.1 uh, percent concentrated in nature, right? Or 0.1 concentrated tetrazolium triphenyl chloride, where we are dipping them, okay, or we are adding them here, through which we can test it the viability of the seeds. Viable embryo turns pink due to formation of insoluble dye called triphenyl formation, right? Then what happened after dipping this several parts of these seeds here? Then what happened? They are forming a pink-like structure, right? Just see the structure, pink-like structure, right? So this is confirmed that yes, this is the viable embryo, right? So only the viable embryo is forming the pink color in this medium, where the triphenyl formazine is a dye means simply color. So first we are taking what happened here. First we are taking a pot where the TPC or triphenyl tetrazoleum uh, chloride is present here, right? Now we are adding the seed, several seed. Clear now? We are adding the seed. And what happened? We are adding a dye. Dye means color, right? Dye means color. So we are adding this color in case of this dye or color is triphenyl formazine, right? So this is triphenyl formazine, right? These are adding here. These are adding here simply. And what happened here? This triphenyl formazine here is showing the pink coloration of the viable embryos. Here, in case of viable seed, they are forming pink color. In case of abnormal, non-viable seeds, they are forming right different colors, and these are dead. Through this dye, that is triphenyl formazine, we can uh, taste the viability of the seed. Clear? Now, seed germination, right? A viable seed placed under suitable environment absorbs water through micropyle seed coats. Initial water absorption is by imbibition. So already you have learned about the ovule. Already you have learned about the anatropous ovule, right? Anatropous ovule, where you have learned such kind of structure. Here, such kind of structure. This is called micropylar ring, and this is the ovule. Here, and here the embryo sac is present. Here the antipodal cell, three antipodal cells are present. Here one egg and two synergic cells are present, and here two polar nucleus are present. This is the ovule. This is the anatropous ovule, and this is maximally found throughout the whole angiospermic plants. So, in case of seed, embryo is present, right? And where the micropylar ring is present. So this thing is present within the what? Within the seed, clear. And through this micropylar ring, embryo first is taking the water. Clear now? Through the water. This process is called imbibition. So already I've learned about the imbibition also, right? In transportation of plants, already I've learned about the imbibition, transpiration, as well as gestation, right? So imbibition is the process simply where the plant seeds are taking water and their volumes are increasing size. This is called imbibition. So through this micropylar ring, right? Through this micropylar ring, seeds are taking entry. Water is taking entry. Okay, and they are increasing volume. This is the first step towards the seed germination. So then what happens? Seeds are increasing their length. The seed pods become soft through the imbibition of the water. Then what happens? The seed coat that is present. Suppose this is seed coat. The seed coat is what? Soft in nature now due to the presence of water. The reserve food is mobilized. The reserve food is mobilized. Initially, the respiration is anaerobic, but later it becomes aerobic. What happened? This process is energy consuming process. First, water is going on in the inner side of the embryo, and then what happens? The volume of the seed is getting increased, and now the seed coat is getting softened. Right. At the time, the reserve food material that is present within the seed, right? They are used. They are used by respiration process. At very fast time, the respiration that is found within the seed after water entry, anaerobic, that is in absence of oxygen. After that, it becomes aerobic or oxygenated respiration. Here, it becomes oxygenated or aerobic respiration. This is called seed germination actually. Okay. Now just see the diagram here. At the very first time, suppose this is the micropylar ring. Through the micropylar ring, what happens? Through this micropylar ring, okay, through this micropylar ring, the water is taking entry, right? The water is taking entry, and after water taking, what happens? The respiration is going on within this food, right? Within the seed here, and the food is mobilized or used up here. Then what happens? through this anaerobic respiration, they are getting increase in size. Then after anaerobic respiration, aerobic respiration is taking place, huge amount of ATP is produced. Then what happens? Their size are increased. Clear. And finally, the seed is germinated here, and two cotyledons are coming out here. Clear. Right? As the food transported to the embryo, they began to enlarge and divide. Then what happens? Food is transported, that is present on the seed covering or the fruit covering. They are going into the embryo or inner side of the embryo. Radical grows first. So first root can grow, right? A radical. It comes out of the seed and forms the first or primary root. So in case of radical, they are forming first primary root. Formation of first root is generally considered index of seed germination. Clear. So formation of this first root, right? Formation of this first root is generally considered index of seed germination. That means from here the seed germination is taking place fully. Growth of radical is followed by growth of either epicotyle or hypogeal germination or hypocotyle or epigeal germination. Clear. So here two terms are present, hypocotyle and epicotyle. Epicotyle, if epicotyle is coming first, then it will be called as hypogeal germination, and if the hypocotyle is coming first, then it will be called as epigeal germination. Ultimately, the plumule or stem is grows. Clear? The stem is grown. Now just see the diagram here. Okay. Now, just before goes through the epicotyle, hypocotyle seed germination, just learn about one term here or topic here. Vivipary, germination of seed before detachment from fruit or parent plant, right? So in case of seed, what happens? Seed are actually coming out from the plant body, right? And seed is fully detached from the plant body, right? Generally, this thing is found throughout the whole plant community. But some plants, what happens? The seed is present, still present within the plant, and they are undergoing the germination process. This is called vivipary. Yeah. It occurs in mangrove plants, that is Rhizophora, Herictea, right, and Sonaria. Seeds cannot germinate in mangroves because of the excessive salt content and reduced oxygen in saline marshy habitat. The seed does not undergo dormancy because the content embryo does not become inactivated, so it continuously growing. Now listen, the concept is, again I'm telling you, generally what in our nature, seeds are detached from the plant body, and these seeds are undergoing the germination. First, the seeds are undergoing dormancy, and after some time, the seeds are undergoing germination process. Here, but finally, a new seedling, a new plant is developed. This is the normal thing that is found in our nature. But in our nature are also some plants where what happens? The seed is still present within the plant. They are not detached from the plant at all. At that time, what happens? They are not undergoing the seed dormancy. Clear? They are not undergoing the seed dormancy, and they are finally germinated and producing the seedling plants. When at the attachment time, when they are attached with the plant, and these are examples. Now, why they are not undergoing the seed dormancy? Because in case of mangrove areas, where what happens, the you can say soil is very much salty containing, you can say, the okay. The soil is containing very salt, right, or salty concentration in between them, right? So that's why what happens, seeds are not going to the soil, and obviously seeds are not getting the amount or sufficient amount of water, right, as well as the minerals. So that's why here at the time of attachment, okay, the seed when is attached with the plant body, at that time they are undergoing the germination process and they are forming the new plants. Yeah. Now this is found in case of mangrove areas, right? Clear now? Now hypogeal and epigeal germination process. First one, hypogeal. When the epicotyle grows first, only the plumule is pushed out of the soil, while the cotyledon and all other parts remain under the soil. Try to understand the concept. A hypogeal germination process where the epicotyle is the area, right? Epicotyle uh, is the area, right, that is related to leaf. Clear? So epicotyle goes first, and at that time, plumule or stem is undergoing. Just see the diagram here. Okay. Just see the structure. Epicotyle. This area is known as epicotyle. Is coming first, and the remaining portion is still underground the soil. Here, so here epicotyle grows first, and the plumule or stem is pushed out of the soil, and the cotyledons and other parts remain under the soil. And epicotyle, here one thing, epicotyle that is coming from the plumule, right? So epicotyle is coming from the plumule first, and the remaining parts are underground the soil. This is called hypogeal. This is called hypogeal germination process. For example, gram pea, broad bean, mango, most of the monocot plant, white rice, maize, coconut, etc. So here what happens? First epicotyle is germinated. Here, then epigeal, where what happened? First, hypocotyle grows first. So see the hypocotyle, right? Now, hypocotyle grows first. So try to understand. Epicotyle is the region, right? Epicotyle is the region that is already coming out from the seed, and hypocotyle is also the region that is uh, at that time where the seed covering is also present, and where the where the cotyledon is still not coming out. This is the main difference. Try to understand it. Hypocotyle is the condition where the seed coat is present, and the what? The seed the seed coat is present, and the seed is not germinated at all, or the you can say the cotyledon is not fully developed at that time. So in this type, hypocotyle grows first. It pushes cotyledon and other parts of the seed out of the soil. Then what happens in case of hypocotyle? Here they are picking up the whole body outside the soil. So epicotyle means when mainly the you can say the first part of the plant leaf that are coming out from the soil, and the remaining part are underground the soil. And in case of epigeal, where the hypocotyle or stem is coming out from the soil, right? And through this or with this you can say stem or hypocotyle, all other parts are also coming out from the soil. Only roots are located below the soil. For example, mustard, onion, tamarind, French bean, custard, cotton, papaya, etc. Clear? Okay. So today's class is up to this. In next class, we'll discuss about absolute and relative growth rate, as well as next class we'll discuss about the plant growth hormones. Clear? Or plant growth regulators. So in this class, you have learned about the plant growth rate, right? Plant growth, the characters of plant growth, right? The development, what is development, plasticity, then seed dormancy, what is seed dormancy, uh, how can we break the seed dormancy process? There are five processes are there. So seed dormancy breaking processes, seed germination. There are two type of seed germination: apigeal, hypogeal. What happens are there? Clear? That's all, right?